This week's channeled message from Isla, the mother of creation, is a super impactful one. So I am so glad you are here. Thank you so much for joining me, you guys. And for those of you who are new, welcome. My name is Ann Tucker. I am a trance channel. I channel deep trance. I go into a deep meditative state or trance. And from that state, I raise my awareness up as high as I can go. And I connect at the angelic realm or with Isla, the mother of creation. I bring through messages, healing, and information, which I share here with you guys on YouTube. So my format is I'm going to share the original channeling, which I did last night, and then afterwards I break it down. The breakdown I find to be super helpful because as you're listening to the messages, there's actually an activation in this message and it's fairly powerful. So you may find that it's harder for you to hang on to the words. And then afterwards we do the breakdown so you can really integrate and understand everything that came through. And there is a lot in this message. So this is a bit of a longer message. If you want to listen to just the channeling, that part is like 10 minutes. So, and you'll tell if you scan through the video, I'm wearing a different shirt. So it's really easy to find it. So today's message is a super good one because she's bringing through a lot of energy in this one, and she actually merges with your energy field in this message. So so it's a very cool message where she's trying to help us release resistance to ourselves. So she's doing it. It's a very activating message. She talks really fast in the message, and there's a lot of energy in the message. So we will talk it through. So I'll read it with you guys and then talk it through afterwards. So speaking of all this chaos and stuff like that, it sounds like, oh my gosh, I should buckle down the hatches and I should go nowhere. And I would say no. I would say live your life, have fun, do things, go places, because it is like this. Yes, this is a year of change, but we want to savor the moment. We want to get the most out of life. And right now, right now you can go. Yes, there's fuel constrictions and stuff. You can still get anywhere you want to go. You can still travel. You can still have fun. You can still go out and do whatever you want, even though there's chaos in the world. So that is why you should come to my retreat in October. So come to my retreat because it's going to be awesome. So talk about a phenomenal place to keep your vibe high. So to be around other people. So that is the work we need to do, right? Is to keep our vibe high. So, and many of you have been to the retreat before and you know exactly what I'm talking about. It was really cool. Last year at the retreat, I go into channel because we're channeling a lot. We channel 3 times a day, morning, noon, and night. And in between all the great food and all the socializing and the fun. But the first thing she says is that she has been creating a field of delight, that she's holding a field of delight, and she chooses to share it with us. And so she immediately saturates the entire weekend in this field of delight. And it's an incredible message because she's talking about how she could choose to keep that field of delight for herself. But that wouldn't be very interesting. It would be much more interesting to set that field free and to give it to us without any instructions, right? Without any requirements, and to see what we do with it. And that was the setup for the whole weekend. It was, I have a field of delight. I'm currently bringing that into this room. And now see what you guys do with it. And that will be our fun together. So that was the setup for the whole weekend, and we could feel it. Everybody who was there is that the energy built and built and built literally. And it was so cool to see because even those people who would have described themselves as being shy, who were more reluctant to participate, by the end, they were running around wearing superhero capes. so like they were absolutely delighted. And delightful. So anyways, incredible fun and an amazing experience. We call it the Expand Your Heart Retreat because the whole point is to open and expand our heart chakra. So it is an amazing opportunity to help to strengthen your self-commitment, your commitment to yourself, to your own light, to open the channels and the passageways to let the light come through. And that is what today's message is all about. It is about opening up the heart chakra and letting the light come through. And so in this message, Isla is, she, like I said, she's going through actually helping us do it in the message. So, but it is also, I guess she's talking us through it and kind of describing how this works and how it happens. So she's working both on our conscious awareness and then also on our energy at the same time. All right. Shall we dive in? You guys want to hear the message? Let's do it. All right. Take a breath and relax, and let's dive in. Blessings, blessings, blessings. Great unspoken truths are coming forward now. Great unspoken rivers of truth. An announcement must be made. A new choral must be sung. A song for the millennium, a song for the ages. It is the beginning of things. A new start is here, and you are welcomed. The new truth of yourselves has only just begun, is just an envelope opened. There are pages inside that are yet unread and some unwritten. There is much to be done, but enough to be said to fill this message. I wish to share with you now that the transience that you are experiencing in your lives will change, and very suddenly. The shifting tides are upon you, and the lives as you lead them are going to change. There will be a shifting, a remedy, yes, for the extremism of this time, for the parameters which you are done exploring, for the extension of yourselves that you've already met. These you are done with through, and they do not beget any more learning. There is no more tide that is coming in that will bring you new thoughts because of these extremes. It is time to let go. It is time to release a hold upon yourselves, a grip which has endowed you with presence. The presence you have attained is of the utmost importance. Therefore, I wish for you not to undermine the meaningful time period which you are exiting, not to feel that it was something less than important, that it was not needed. It was cared for and constructed by yourselves, through yourselves, as an enormous opportunity to reveal what is within you. It is and has been the caretaker of your hearts, which were engulfed in layers upon layers of misgivings. And through this process and the processing of what was generated, you have created for yourselves an enormous dialogue within you. The opportunity ahead of you now is the excavation of that dialogue. It is taking in hand what you've achieved and understanding yourself through it, manifesting in a new way, coming to terms with reality through the dialogue of your own creation, coming to the understanding of what is a heaven and what is without when you are living incarnate, and choosing and creating for yourselves your preference. Finding in yourself what is stirring to life because of who you've become. These are the next stages of your employment. Where are you now in the midst of this great and chaotic rumblings? Yes, there are many chimes at this time, like the chimes of a clock dictating the hour, letting you know that the time has changed, letting you know that a new one has begun, letting you know that the framework of life is changing around you. Your own personal circumstances you may regard as being very familiar, as being somewhat deregulated, but otherwise largely the same. This is not where we should be looking. Take the time at this moment now to investigate what is inside you and how you feel differently about what is forming around you. The change starts from here. The first evidence is not external, it is internal. Take a moment now to bow your head and close your eyes and to pursue the underpinnings of reality, which start with thought and feeling, which start with what is within your heart. There has been an exhaustion that has taken place, in these past weeks and moments where your heart has been wrung dry of feeling and you have been left wondering about what to investigate, where to go next, how do I proceed, where am I going? This is the void of which we have spoken. You have entered in periods, at times, in areas of your lives, entered a void, and it is in safekeeping. You are held in the reverence of your prospects, and the unknowable is no concern of yours just yet. Let it be, let it be, let it be. Reflect yourselves outwardly. Simply be in attunement with the new times that are forming around you. Understand that a light has been spoken into presence already, and it articulates itself through every moment, and it is gaining in strength, and it is moving around you. There shall come a time, yes, when you are the recipient of a great force of forging strength that comes from the sun, and it shall move about you and through you. And when it does, whether it be for a moment, an hour, or an afternoon, it makes no difference. In that moment, your primary concern is to simply be. Thus shall we instigate, even now, this practice of becoming into every moment through the perspective of shining your light, through the perspective of becoming as you are, letting go of reality, letting go of what was, of the hardships that perturb you, letting go of your antagonisms, and revisiting what is inside you, recognizing that here takes the shape of the new reality. What can you investigate inside of yourselves that is uplifting? Where can you find a truth that needs to be spoken? Where is there the honoring of yourselves, the loving of yourselves, the keeping of your own friendship? Focus here. Focus here. This is most important in these times that are framing around you, to love yourself, to honor yourself, to treat yourself as if you are worth something, more than something. For you are the core. You are the beginning. You are the next new light. Thus, I bring your attention and I call your focus back, inside, always deeper, always deepening, because that is who you are, always deepening. And I invite you to come with me, for I go where you go. I go deeply with you. I go toward that center, the core, the root of you, where new beginnings start. And here there is a seed already planted, already begun, but what shall it say? Is it spoken into form yet? Not entirely. How shall this be done? Through you, through you, through you. And what brings it into this gesture of the unfamiliar? It is when you care for yourselves. When you love yourselves, it opens the doorways. Yes, it creates a passageway, a format upon which this new life can begin. It is as if you must pave the way through your own instigation. You must decide through your choice that you will be treasured, and then the world will become your treasure. Allow yourselves, as we are speaking together now, to investigate the depths of you, these parts of you that are not performative for no one else, only for you and you alone. Have you allowed yourself to be? Have you brought forward the truths that need speaking? Where can you honor yourself more deeply? And this is not to the exclusion of kindness towards others. This is not to the externalization of kindness outside of yourself. Neither will do. This is honoring yourself while honoring others' rights to be. And the two can coexist simultaneously. But you are starting with what is inside you. Thus I draw your awareness and your attention back to where you fold inward, to where you keep hidden, to where you draw down into the depths of you what is unspoken. There are ways in which you have disregarded your own words. What you speak, you do not act. What you share too easily, you do not treasure? How have you moved yourself closer into alignment with your own joyful feelings? Reach for this. This is cause for investigation. These are the energies that will birth and birth and birth new things, for it opens passageways inside you. And those passageways must be free. They must be open so that the light that is birthing the new reality can come out. So I call to you from down here, deep inside you, where I sit most pleasantly, enjoying my surroundings. And I wait for you to come to me, and I speak your name most lovingly, and I invite you to look around and to see what I am seeing. And what I see inside you are the riches, yes, the riches of many lives, of such deep understanding, of such wisdom and truth. And I stir it up like a great pot, and I serve it to you, and I give you a great big spoonful to start you off. And I invite you to treasure it with me. And through this process now, how might you express it? How might you tell me in your own words what you are tasting? How might you share back to me how you are good, how you are light, how you are forming this new reality, what stems from inside you? Open yourself to me, and we shall admire you from the inside out. And this, yes, I invite you to share with me, and I will be with you. And I invite you on this journey of self-understanding, enriching your internal understanding of self. Yes, because there is so much to love. And in so doing, you make way for what is new. You pave a new pattern of experiencing self, which is built upon the reverence for what you are, allowing yourself to become the light that you are. This is important. This is vitally important to the experiencing of the new reality. Thus join me. I will be here as you are ready. I will be here. I will be waiting. I will be wanting your company. And I invite you, as I treasure every moment in your presence, to come join me here in the root of you, where all new things begin. And we together shall pave your journey forward. I bless you. I say thank you. Goodbye. So beautiful, like very poetic and beautiful message. So poetic. And when I first channeled it, I couldn't understand it at all. And then even after I was putting in the punctuation, I still couldn't understand it. And it wasn't until I sat down with it this morning that everything became so clear. And I hope it was clearer for you in hearing it than it was for me in channeling it. But there was a ton of energy. So in this message, she is with our energy field. She's in our energy field. So it is very, very possible that as you're listening to the message that you sort of zone out, that you're having a hard time holding on to the words. Totally understandable, because she's trying to help us lower our resistance to ourselves. And that is a palpable energy field. It's like someone wrapping a warm blanket around you, and it's like it just kind of melt into that blanket. Like if you've ever been lucky enough to have a massage and the table is heated and you lay on that warm table and your body just kind of goes, like it's that feeling. Like she's coming in and she's trying to soften us. And the reason for it, the key to this message and why it's so important right now is, yes, we're trying to create the reality, but she says very sneakily, she puts it here at the end, this is key to experiencing it. So a lot of us are wondering, like, how will I receive the flash of light? How will I be able to experience or participate in what's coming? And she's saying that we're all going to be contributing to the building of the new reality, but how do we project ourselves into it? How do we live there, right? How do we go there more and more? How do we experience it in our lives? Which is a little different, right? You say that you are in moments creating the new reality, but what if life is pulling you down and you're spending more time out of it than in it? Well, this is saying, okay, great. How do you experience it? And it is this idea that we need to open the channels of our heart. We need to open the pathways of creative energy that flow through us. And that is done by, and we know they've been talking to us, the angels have been talking to us, Isla's been talking to us about this idea that we need to lower our resistance to ourself, to open our heart to ourself, and that takes the resistance away from our heart chakra, and it helps that spark of divine radiate out, and that generates the field of love that becomes the new reality. And that's that generative part. But how do we experience it? Right? So we might be generating it from the heart inside of us, but how are we there? How do we bring all of us into it? So that comes from this experience of celebrating what you are. It comes from the experience of loving yourself so it builds like a charge. Like it's literally like I can feel it in my body as I'm talking about it. Like if there's ever been a moment when you can think about right now where you have felt really good about yourself. Like, is there ever a time that you did something? Maybe, that you had a neighbor who was going through a health challenge and you took an afternoon and you made a loaf of bread with your new automatic bread maker, which I did. And, and you brought it to the neighbor. And in doing that, the whole time you were making that bread, you were feeling good. You're thinking about how it's going to make that person happy, and it's lighting you up inside, and it builds, you can feel it. If you can recall whatever that moment is for you, if you can feel back to that moment and feel it's like a little charge building, and it builds deep inside you, low inside you, like a little spark of energy. Right? And you can remember that and feel it even now, like a little charge that builds from the root. And if you allow it, it can grow. And that is what she's trying to do for us here. She's trying to say, take that charge, and she's going to do it by going into our field with us. And I love how she describes it here for us. It's so cute. She says that she's taking all our goodness and she's stirring it up like a pot of soup and giving us a big spoonful. It's like such a mom thing to do. And then she says, here, have a bite of you. Like, try it out. You're awesome. And then tell me what you feel. Tell me what you taste. Like, tell me in your own words. And that is a super awesome experiment to do, because when you have a dialogue with yourself, if you just pose a question to yourself and you just sit with it, answers will start bubbling up naturally. So this is an exercise that I do actually, which is an incredibly powerful exercise if you're ever feeling in the dumper. And I'll share it with you guys right now. So let's say, for example, and this is great because we're trying to shift our vibration into this more open experience. And so let's just use this as an experience to say what you want to, so pick something you want to feel right now. And it might be that you say, I want to feel like that I love myself. I want to feel open to myself, right? I want to honor myself. So take a blank piece of paper. This is just the back of the message. And in the center of the paper, I'm going to show you this. You're going to draw a small box. And in that box, you're going to write, I honor, whatever. I'm going to say, I honor myself. That's mine. Okay, so I'm going to draw it like this. I honor myself. So I don't know if you can see that it's in the center of the box, just a little tiny box in the center of the page, right? And I had the thing in front of me, the mic, so you probably didn't hear that, but it's a little box in the center of the page. Then what you're going to do is you're going to sit with this question, and you're going to just pose yourself the question, how do I honor myself? And then don't feel the need to answer it right away. Just sit with that question. And pretty soon your brain will start burbling up answers, because your brain is like Google and it answers whatever question you get it. So most of the time we're giving our brain like really nasty questions about ourselves. Like, why do I suck? Like, tell me more reasons why I suck. And then our brain's like, here's 5, which is like, we do that to ourselves all the time. So here, let's flip it. And let's say, how do I honor myself? And then just sit with the question. Don't feel like you have to come up with anything. Don't think about it. Let it percolate up. And what you'll find is that it'll be like, and some of them will be really big. Like this morning, I took time for a really good cup of coffee, and you can write coffee up here. And so every little one you get, you're going to write it, little sentences here, 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 all over the place and they have to be true. Here's the thing is you have to believe it in your body or it doesn't work. So you're going to have the question, I honor myself. How do I honor myself? And then you're going to let it percolate up. I had a really beautiful cup of coffee this morning. I spent time in my garden yesterday. I said something that was really hard to say, right? I spoke up when I felt unheard, right? So things where like they could be, some of them are going to be really big things, right? I left that terrible job that was not speaking to my soul. So some of them could be from a long time ago, or they could be yesterday, but they have to be true. And there has to be that feeling inside of it. Oh yeah, this is a way I honored myself. And do it until you fill up the whole page. What you have at the end is you have proven to yourself in all ways that are true that you do in fact honor yourself. And it's shifting. It gives you certainty, like down to your bones, that you do in fact honor yourself, right? And then you can hold that energy in the body and say, yeah, I honor myself. And then guess what you do going forward? You continue to honor yourself. So it's an incredibly good way to shift. When you're trying to embody something, you're having a hard time embodying. When you're having a hard time holding it. If you, every time you think a positive thought, immediately, a judgmental voice comes in and yells at you in your own head. So by doing this process, and like I said, that's why and it doesn't matter if the things are really, really little. It totally doesn't matter. All that matters is that it's true. And as you do this, you build up your own sense. You get to the end, I got a whole page full of things showing I honor myself, and you can sit with that and just feel it. And that is a spark at the root. And if you sit with that spark and then do this, then listen to this message, let Isla build that spark for you, that begins to open channels, open pathways through which you begin to express yourself in this free new way. That is how we experience the new reality. We begin experiencing it. So this is a really, really cool message because it is an activation at the same time as it is instructions, right? She's giving us guidance and an activation at the same time. So cool. And we'll break it down. Like we will get so much more out of it by breaking it down because like I said, it took me a minute. But yeah, there's loads of beautiful stuff in here. Okay, take a breath and let us now break it down. Let's go ahead and break down the message. So here is a first paragraph. She says, blessings, blessings, blessings. Great unspoken truths are coming forward now. So whose unspoken truth? Ours. Great unspoken truths. This was the twist. When I first heard it, I thought it was like great unspoken truth. No, it's when you understand the whole message, she's talking about our unspoken truth. Great unspoken truths are coming forward now. Great unspoken rivers of truth. So this is that energy. Once we get the energy flowing, it's going to be like a river flowing out of us. An announcement must be made. So whose announcement? It is your soul song, right? It is like a flowing river of truth, an announcement. The time has come for us to begin to share our light in this really tangible way. And she says, a new choral must be sung, a song for the millennium, a song for the ages. It is the beginning of things, a new start is here, and you are welcomed. So a choral, I had to look it up. It's a musical term. It refers to like a chorus of like many voices singing a song, like many voices together singing a song. So this whole paragraph, she starts out, right? Great unspoken truths, a unspoken river of truth, right? An announcement must be made. So this is us bringing our voice into the new reality, bringing the truth of ourselves forward. And there we will join with all of us together with the spark of love that's coming forward inside of us. And we will become a new choral, right? A song for the millennium, a song for the ages. So that's the meaning that she's telling us. That's what the message is about. It is about how do we exist in the new reality. So, and you are welcomed, right? She's like, this is the whole message is welcoming us in. Next paragraph. The new truth of yourselves has only just begun. It is just an envelope opened. There are pages inside that are yet unread and some unwritten. There is much to be done, but enough to be said to fill this message. So she's having fun with us there. She's like, I got a lot to say. But I love this idea that so there's this new truth of ourselves as part of us that's trying to come forward, this whole and embodied, like all of our goodness, right? But she says the envelope is opened. Right? So imagine, you can visualize it, that you've received this incredible, like imagine like when when you applied for something you really, really wanted and you got that letter in the mail and you were like, is it a thin letter or a thick letter? And that's how you know, is it a good answer or a bad letter? So you just got a thick letter in the mail, right? And now you've opened the letter, but you haven't pulled out what's inside of it. And that's where we are in this, at the current stage, right? So we've gotten the envelope, we've gotten our invitation to the new reality, we've opened the letter, like it's the beginning is here, but we have yet to take out what's inside the envelope. And inside, there's going to be some things that are written and a lot that's unwritten. And then she says, I wish to share with you now that the transience that you are experiencing in your lives will change and very suddenly. So, what does she mean by that? Transience means it's the feeling that things are temporary, that there's an inevitability of ending, right? So, what that means is that we feel that we are at the end of something, right? That we feel that this world is transient, that it's not going to last that much longer, that we are at the ending. And she says that feeling of being at the end is going to end, and instead, we're going to feel something different. We're going to feel that we're in the new beginnings, or we're going to be in the void, right? So she says the shifting tides are so I wish to share with you that the transients that you are experiencing in your lives will change, and very suddenly. The shifting tides are upon you, and the lives as you lead them are going to change. There will be a shifting, a remedy, yes, for the extremism of this time, for the parameters which you are done exploring, for the extension of yourselves that you've already met. So that's the key, the main thing about that paragraph is this idea that the end is ending. And I don't think that means, because we know that there's going to be the experiences of this period of transition have yet, a lot of them are still unfolding, and that will be. But I think more and more it's going to be possible for us to exist in the new reality. And I think this is the splitting that she's talking about. And she's saying that now is the time that if we are ready to be done with those lessons, we have the freedom to let them go. And that's the key message here. She's saying there has been a lot to learn from polarity. There's been a lot to learn from all the chaos in the world, and the way that it has brought forward our wounds and all that kind of stuff. But she's saying, okay, that's enough. You have gotten everything out of this that you're going to get. So it's time that you're done exploring this. And she goes on to say, next paragraph, these you are done with through, and they do not beget any more learning. There is no more tide that is coming in that will bring you new thoughts because of these extremes. It is time to let go. It is time to release a hold upon yourselves, a grip which has endowed you with presence. So if you think about this, it doesn't get any worse than the Epstein files. Like there's no low below that. Like that is the lowest of the low, right? So we've already got to rock bottom. So when you think about that, and we've got lots of stuff going on in the world that we could describe as rock bottom. And certainly people could suffer more. Yeah, there could be a lot more suffering. There could be a lot more death. There could be a lot more awful things that happen. But in terms of any isolated experience you could point to, that we have plenty to point to say that stunk. Like that was terrible. That was the bottom of the bucket. And she's saying you don't have to go in for the double round. You don't have to go for the second helping. Like you've had a helping and you've gotten all that you need to get out of this. It has triggered you to the depth that you're going to be triggered. Do you really need it again? She says, take it once and move on. So time to release it. There's no more tide coming in that brings you new thoughts. All you're going to experience is more thoughts about the same. You're going to be just as grossed out, just as disgusted, just as horrified, right? She says it's time to let it go. So no need to do it again. She says it is time to release a hold upon yourselves, a grip which has endowed you with presence. So here is the shift. It is this idea that in this process of living in our 3D reality, in order to have the experience which we've been having, which is very, very valuable, the key to making it happen was to keep ourselves in. Right, is that we needed to believe that reality was happening to us. We needed to be triggered. We needed to keep ourselves in, right? And so what that has done for us, that holding that grip upon ourselves, endowed us with presence, right? We became really embodied, really embedded in the reality. And we learned through the experience, we deepened our soul. Suffering expanded us. It gave us increase. And what is presence? Presence is divine light, right? Presence is the God light saying, I exist, I am. It's the first words of God. That's what presence is. And in this process of suffering expands us, making more room for that light to come in. So there's been a reason to go through this, and it has been the light of compassion. As we go through this terrible suffering, it brings us to compassion. It lets in more light. It's like I always say, is that our soul is like a sock. And if we put a bunch of rocks in the sock, it stretches the sock out. And even after you take the rocks out, the sock is still stretched out. Now it can hold a whole lot more light. So that's what we've been going through. But she says, time to take the rocks out. It is time to release a hold upon yourselves, a grip which has endowed you with presence. And then she says, the presence you have attained is of the utmost importance. Therefore, I wish for you not to undermine the meaningful time period which you are exiting, not to feel that it was something less than important, that it was not needed. It was cared for and constructed by yourselves, through yourselves, as an enormous opportunity to reveal what is within you. Right? So stretching out that sock, what does it do? It makes a bigger sock, right? It makes more of you. You become bigger. You become brighter. You become more of you. So next paragraph, it is and has been the caretaker of your hearts, which were engulfed in layers upon layers of misgivings. And through this process and the processing of what was generated, you have created for yourselves an enormous dialogue within you. So here she's referring to the journey we've been on of our wounding and going into that process of keeping ourselves in, keeping a grip on that light inside of us, believing that reality was happening to us, going through our wounding process, trying to heal from that. Right, that we were layered, and you guys know, as you are, lots of you are in soul convergence, and you are going through the layers and the layers and the layers, right, of the misgivings, right, where our pain, our wounding, our hurts, and that process, right, through that process, we learn enormous amounts about ourselves. How will I respond when I'm put in this situation? How will it make me feel? What will I become because of it? And this gets to really, to me, and I mentioned it before, but I think it merits saying again that the surprise I had as I went on my own healing journey, that when I healed something, I wasn't left being like a bright and happy fairy, a bright and happy fairy, that's like a children's cartoon that has like no fear and no, I'm just like la da 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 da. That's not the end of the healing journey. Is not that, you get to the end and you are that stretched out sock. Is that it's a little bit like those of you who've gone through childbirth, like at the end, like you're like, whoa, what happened to me? You know what I mean? Like, I hope all that sucks back in. Like that's the feeling. So so it is that idea that it transforms us. It gives us greater capacity. So there's this sweet sorrow to it. Is that when you're healed, you no longer hold the hurt, but you hold the memory of the hurt. And it doesn't wring your heart out. It's not one of those things where it consumes you like it does when you're in it. When you're in it, you're just like, I can't get out of it, right? You just keep thinking about it and it just grinds you and grinds you. When you heal, it's no longer like that, but you remember that. So you have this sense of like looking back on almost like not like it's like someone that you miss that died, you know what I mean, that you're not in active grief for, but you're like, oh, I remember that. And it brings this incredible compassion for anyone else who's going through that. But you also, in that compassion, you're igniting and filling yourself up with love. So it's this much different experience than the hairy fairy, the happy fairy. It is a maturation, a depth that we achieve, that gives us gravitas as a soul. It gives us this ability to hold the light that we wouldn't have otherwise. So, because if we think about it, God is all things. Like God has to hold everything. So we do too. So it opens us up to an enormous dialogue inside of us. It gives us a richness, which we then get to work from as we move forward. So next paragraph, she says, the opportunity ahead of you now is the excavation of that dialogue. So, and you guys have heard me say the metaphor about as we're moving into the new reality that we get to leave behind our karma, and that you can think of your karma like a great big book. And we've been cramming, trying to read as much of that book as we can. But when we get to when we go through the major, like when the flash of light comes, we set the book down. Whatever we haven't had a chance to read is now gone. We don't own the book anymore. We just get to keep what we've learned. So this is the idea that through this healing journey, right, we have taken in so much. That which we've read, that's what we've taken in. That is what we get to work with. We get to excavate and explore everything we've learned in this past phase of our development as a soul, in the past 3D experience. So that was kind of like the creation of the Lego bricks. And now we've got as many Lego bricks as we've made, and we get to now start building with them in the new reality. So that's kind of a way of thinking about it. So the opportunity ahead of you now is the excavation of that dialogue. It is taking in hand what you've achieved and understanding yourself through it, manifesting in a new way, coming to terms with reality through the dialogue of your own creation. So this is a huge part about what new reality is going to be. The whole point of living changes, right? Like right now, that we have the point of living is to bump into walls. Like the point of living right now is to go out into reality and to unconsciously reflect yourself into your reality and to bump into it until you discover it, and then you heal yourself through that process. Like that's the earth school as we know it. That's changing. It won't be that anymore because we will no longer have karma. So in the new reality, it's going to be taking all those Lego bricks that we built, all of those pages that we read, and it is going to be learning to manifest, like to work with them like the fodder for creation. What can I make with this? What can I do with this now? And we're going to become masterful creators. So that is the new job, and it'll be discovering ourselves in a new way through this process. And she says, coming to the understanding of what is a heaven and what is without when you are living incarnate and choosing and creating for yourselves your preference, finding in yourself what is stirring to life because of who you become. These are the next stages of your employment. So we've heard the concept of heaven on earth, right? And then that is where we're heading. And so the key idea here is this idea that heaven isn't the same for everybody. That our idea of heaven might be really different from the idea of heaven for a pig, for example. Like a pig is like, I'm going to have really big mud puddles, and like a pig is going to want really different things than we want. And so heaven is not a one size fits all. Heaven is a concept of what you want, right? And so what she's saying here is that in the new reality, what we'll be doing is deciding what heaven on earth is. And we have to come to that conclusion together. So, and she's going to say, coming to the understanding of what is heaven, what is a heaven, and what is without, like what is outside of heaven. So and that process is going to be a process of experimentation. And we're going to be using the learning inside of us to discern, is this heavenly or is this not heavenly? So we're going to create things together, and we may create something in the new reality and then collectively decide that's not so good. We don't want that in our heaven. And we let it go, and we let it fall away, right? And we're going to be using as our discernment all of the learning and the wisdom that we've gained through the journey we just went through. So, and we're going to be doing this. The thing that's cool about it, because you guys have heard loads of stories of people who cross over and they go to, to heaven, to the version of heaven that they are seeing. And it's like, oh my gosh. And you hear like the flowers are so many colors, and there's big buildings, and there's a palace I walk into and I learn things. Like we have these stories of what heaven is. This is heaven on earth, right? So the cool thing about this is we get to do it while incarnated. And when you're incarnated, you get to touch things and eat things and smell things and do things like that you don't get to do when you're a spirit, right? There's a reality to it that is like juicy and fabulous. So this is cool, right? This is really cool. What could be cooler than heaven? Heaven that you can taste, touch, and smell, right? Where it's like that much more embodied because it's thicker. You know what I mean? More heaven. And we still get to pick it. So that's what we're talking about. So how cool is that? It is a really exciting idea. So, and she says, finding yourself, right? These are the next stages of your employment. Next paragraph, she says, okay, so where are you now? Where are we in this process? Where are you now? She says, in the midst of this, great and chaotic rumblings. Yes, there are many chimes at this time, like the chimes of a clock dictating the hour, letting you know that the time has changed, letting you know that a new one has begun, letting you know that the framework of life is changing around you. So lots in this message. So she's saying, so where are we now? We're in the midst of this letting go of the old reality, right? We're ready to kind of go into the void space. And how do we know? She says, great and chaotic rumblings. So we could be in store for some pretty major earth events, right? But we've already been experiencing volcanic eruptions and earth events. It's been like there's like more volcanic stuff happening than like ever. So great chaotic rumblings. She's equating that to the chimes of a clock. Like think about the chimes, like when the clock bings, it's like when you hear that like 12 chimes is the hour. Like think of Cinderella and the pumpkin and the clock chimes, and it's time, right? It's time for a change. The rumblings are the chimes. So, which I love that as a poetic instrument. She's saying the earthquakes, the earth changes. These are like the chimes of a clock telling you that the time has come. How beautiful is that? She says, like the chimes of a clock dictating the hour, letting you know the time has changed, right? You're moving on to a new era, letting you know that a new one has begun. So we're in it, right? Letting you know that the framework of life is changing around you. So yeah, I'm just mesmerized by that. I love that. It's so beautiful. All right. So next paragraph, she says, your own personal circumstances you may regard as being very familiar, as being somewhat deregulated, but otherwise largely the same. This is not where we should be looking. So here she's answering those of you who are like, what do you mean reality is shifting? I'm still in my living room. Like, shouldn't I be like turning into a crystalline body or something? And she's like, okay, so maybe your external reality hasn't changed much, but that's not where we should be looking. In the beginnings, it doesn't start outside of us. Right? So we're not going to see it first in the external reality. It doesn't start there. It starts inside of us. So she goes on to say, take the time at this moment now, and we are at the beginning, so we need to be looking at where it starts, right? It will end up outside of us. In the beginning, it starts inside. So she says, take the time at this moment now to investigate what is inside you and how you feel differently about what is forming around you. So notice she says, don't like not that what around you is forming differently. She says how you feel differently about what is forming around you. So this is where the change begins. We feel differently about our lives. And then she says the change starts from here. The first evidence is not external, it is internal. Take a moment now, and you don't have to actually do this right now, but she does this. She says, go ahead and bow your eyes and close your eyes. But then she talks about a whole bunch of different stuff. And then later in the message, she kind of goes in. So just know that as we're going, but you can, if you want to, if it helps you to take in the message, but she starts and then she starts talking a whole bunch more. So, which is like her, to be honest. She has a lot to say. She says, take a moment now to bow your head and close your eyes and to pursue the underpinnings of reality, which start with thought and feeling, which start with what is within your heart. And I think she also means that generally in life, what we need to be doing right now is closing our eyes and sort of this idea of going internal, right? And pursuing the underpinnings of reality. So where can they be found? They start inside of us. Next paragraph. There has been an exhaustion that has taken place in these past weeks and moments where your heart has been wrung dry of feeling and you have been left wondering about what to investigate, where to go next, how do I proceed, where am I going? And I would say this is some of the shocking things that have come forward, that there are things that come forward that you just sit with and you're just like, how can that even be? How could that have happened? And that is this wringing us dry, right? It is taking us to rock bottom is the idea, right? That when we hear about people in war zones who are being left to starve to death, children starving to death, we hear terrible things and it just hurts your heart so much. And it's rock bottom, right? You're like, I can't imagine worse news than that, you know? And so this is that idea that there's been an exhaustion. So it is getting wringing the most out of the conflict of the old realities that we can possibly get, bringing us to rock bottom. So that she says, where do I go next? How do I proceed? Where am I going? And then she says, this is the void of which we've spoken, right? You have entered in periods, at times, in areas of your lives, entered a void. And it is in safekeeping. You are held in the reverence of your prospects. So of the void, which Isla has talked with us about it before, is an infinitely creative space. It's like a womb where things grow. And it is a space where you don't do anything. The point of the void is it is the space in between which culturally most of our world does not honor. Like our idea is like, and we always talk about this, that when we have a job, and if you want to leave that job, the common wisdom is that you don't dare leave the job until you have a new one in hand. That you have to have the new thing going before you leave the old thing, or you won't be able to get a job. In the new reality and in energetically, what I was saying is that will not work. that the idea is that what happens if you do that is that you just take your problems from the old job and you move them with you to the new job, because you never give yourself a moment to create from what you've become. That you are just taking along the old stuff and moving it right into the new. What happens in the void is we let things die. We let them end. It's winter. We let things fall back to the ground. And that allows for the growth that happens under the soil. That allows for things to reorganize. It allows for us to draw in all the learning. And then from the newness of us, from who we are today in this exact moment, not bringing along all the baggage from before, right? We're starting with a fresh leaf because we're starting from the stillness where everything has already been digested. That is where we begin the next thing. So that is the period that we are in, that we are entering into. We're letting the old one die, and we're stepping into the void where we're trying to seek the stillness so that we can integrate everything that we've learned, and from that new now moment self generate the new reality. So, see, this is the void of which we've spoken. You have entered in periods, at times, in areas of your lives, entered a void, and it is in safekeeping. You are held in the reverence of your prospects, which means that from the void, you can create anything. Your potential is infinite from the void, right? Because you're not bringing your baggage along. So then she says, and the unknowable is no concern of yours just yet. So from the void, you're not trying to figure out what's going to happen. You let reality blossom from inside of you. You're not trying to control it. If you control it, you're back in the old world. You have to let it emerge from you. It's this idea that our job is to try to be the river rather than trying to be all the things in the river. We're trying to just hold open our capacity is what we're trying to do. We're trying to be in that state of loving ourselves, allowing our flow, letting as much light flow through us. That's our job, not focusing on the specifics of like, how is it going to happen? And how am I going to, get my lawn mowed or whatever you're worried about. It's letting yourself just be in the flow and just understanding it's going to happen as it happens. And that it's not your job to solve it right now. So you're held in the reverence of your prospects, and the unknowable is of no concern of yours just yet. Let it be, let it be, let it be. Reflect yourselves outwardly. Simply be in attunement with the new times that are forming around you. So how do you be in attunement? By reflecting yourselves outwardly. That's the idea, is of being in the void, which is being in the stillness, letting all of you integrate everything you've learned and letting that then begin to move up out of you and generate this new song from you, the song of you. Next paragraph. She says, understand that a light has been spoken. In attunement. Yes, that's right. Understand that a light has been spoken into presence already, and it articulates itself through every moment, and it is gaining in strength, and it is moving around you. So here she's talking about our light. It is us, right? A light has been spoken into presence already. We already have the light inside of us, right? That we have it, and it articulates itself through every moment. Like we are always the light. It always shines through us, and it is gaining strength, right? Getting stronger. The more we heal, the more we love ourselves, the stronger it gets, and it is moving around you. So it's coming up and out of you already. You're starting to express it. Very exciting. But then she wants to clarify. She says this. She's not talking about the flash of light. She's talking about your light. So she says, there shall come a time, yes. Because I think as I was channeling, like I heard her say light. I'm like, flash of light? So I think she's saying, no, not that. Because I don't understand what's coming through. I just hear light. I'm like, oh, she's talking about a flash of light. She's like, no, I'm not. There shall come a time, yes, when you are the recipient of a great force of forging strength that comes from the sun, and it shall move about you and through you. And when it does, whether it be for a moment, an hour, or an afternoon, it makes no difference. In that moment, your primary concern is simply to be. So she says, yes, there will be a flash of light. This is not that what I'm talking about. And even then, even when the flash of light comes, your job is still to simply be. So she's like, stop thinking about that. Get focused on what I'm trying to tell you, which is about this concept of just being. And then she says, thus shall we instigate even now this practice of becoming into every moment through the perspective of shining your light, through the perspective of becoming as you are. So in other words, we don't have to be perfect. There is no expectation that we're going to be perfect going into this. And that is absolutely okay. That's the idea of accepting yourself as you are. The perspective of shining your light through the perspective of becoming as you are, letting go of reality, letting go of what was, of the hardships that perturb you, letting go of your antagonisms, and revisiting what is inside you, recognizing that here takes the shape of the new reality. And we've had several messages from Isla talking about the need to let go of the things that are really upsetting. Like there are enough things in the world that are really upsetting. And advice we've gotten before, both from the angels and from Isla, as events occur, is they have acknowledged that there'll be periods where we feel grief. Right? There's going to be moments where something happens and it hits us with sadness and we feel grief. And that is absolutely okay. You can still be in the new vibration and feel grief when there's something truly sad that happens in your life or something sad in the world. So the idea is that when we feel grief is to be present with our grief and to recognize that grief is part of the human spectrum. And the only thing we don't want to do is deny our grief, because the grief is true. So we want to be present with our grief and love ourselves through our grief. But if there's something that we're holding on to, such as, boy, I hope those evildoers get punished, boy, I hope they get theirs, or whatever it is, like that's holding on to the polarity of what was, right? Even if we said, it's got to be stopped. These people something has to change. Someone has to do something. Like all those feelings that are riling us up and making us feel like we have to solve a problem that we don't know how to solve. That creates anxiety, that creates all kinds of negative feelings. So she's saying that we have to let go. We have to let go of reality and everything that it's created right now. We have to let it, just recognize that we're leaving it behind, that we've gotten everything we can get out of it in terms of our growth. And she says, so letting go of our antagonisms and revisiting what is inside you, recognizing that here takes the shape of the new reality. So if we really want to change things, if we don't want that stuff to happen anymore, the action step is to stop acting, and it is to simply be and to understand that it is a new way of creating reality. Yeah. So next she says, next paragraph, what can you investigate inside of yourselves that is uplifting? So how do we try to activate this part of ourselves, right? Focus on what is uplifting. Where can you find a truth that needs to be spoken? Where is there the honoring of yourselves, the loving of yourselves, the keeping of your own friendship? This speaks to, and then she says, focus here, focus here. So this speaks to the concept of self-abandonment. And we all do it, right? We all do it in one way or another, where we, like for me, for a long, long time, one of my core wounds was self-abandonment. It stemmed from, a fear that I picked up literally in the womb that I had to then, and I guess just played it out again and again and again throughout my life. That was fun. That was really a great plan. So, but so glad it's over. But the idea is that, for me, what that looked like is that I had this innate fear that if I was difficult or if I had needs, that people would leave. And that came from infancy, where I think I told you guys my parents were divorcing in my infancy, and they were going through a really tough time. And so I knew that and had this feeling that I had to be as easy as possible, or they wouldn't stay together, they would leave, my dad would leave, and then how would we support ourselves, and I would starve, and all those things, right? All those things were going through my little infant mind. So I would then go through situations where I was triggered into this dynamic, and I would self-abandon, is I would put my needs last, right? I would constantly try to create harmony at the expense of my own better judgment, at the expense of my own inner knowings, everything, right? I completely abandoned myself. I chose not to see things that I should have seen, all those things. So it was self-abandonment. So this is something, and we do it in a bunch of different ways, right? Some people abandon themselves because they have an internal thing in their head saying that I'm only valuable for what I provide. I'm only valuable for what I do. And so they put themselves to the grindstone, and they work insane hours, and they spend no time with the people that they love, thinking that this is how they can be loved, right? And that, again, self-abandonment. So our internal scripts drive us to abandon ourselves. So she's calling us back to this idea, right? Where can you find a truth that needs to be spoken? Where is there the honoring of yourselves, the loving of yourselves, the keeping of your own friendship? So who is going to be your friend if you are not the first friend, right? That we have to be our own friend first. We have to look out for ourselves. We have to love ourselves. And that doesn't mean like look out for ourselves at the expense of others. It means It's like imagine that you are a child and you are your own parent, right? And you have to be that parent that stands up for your child and that protects your child, and in a way that honors and loves that child inside you. The keeping of your own friendship. She says, focus here, focus here. This is the most important. This is most important in these times that are framing around you, to love yourself, to honor yourself. Like, this is what it means. We talk about love ourselves. I always laugh when I hear like commercials where they're like selling you some sort of like body wash and calling it like, self-love. It's like self-love in a bottle. You just need to smell things that smell good. And that's self-love. It's like, no, that's products. Self-love is this idea of honoring yourself, right? Of listening to your heart, of being your own best friend and standing up for yourself. To love yourself is to honor yourself, to treat yourself as if you are worth something more than something, right? That you're worth everything. So, and then she says, for you are the core, right? You are the beginning. You are the next new light. Thus, I bring your attention and I call your focus back inside, always deeper, always deepening, because that is who you are, always deepening. I love that, because she's right, right? We have all been like working on ourselves deeply. That's why we're here. That's why we came to earth, is to deepen ourselves. And she's honoring that in us. She says, that's who you are as a soul, is you are always deepening, right? You're always getting richer and deeper and more full of light. And she says, and I invite you to come with me, for I go where you go. I go deeply with you. Again, just poetry. I love it. She's so cool. Next paragraph, she says, I go toward that center, the core, the root of you, where new beginnings start. And here there's a seed already planted, already begun. But what shall it say? Is it spoken into form yet? Not entirely. How shall this be done? Through you, through you, through you. So she's really trying to bring us this idea, and this is that idea: come down into the core of you, into the into the root, into your lower body, and this is where that sort of spark of that charge of feeling great about you begins. And then she says, and what brings it into this gesture of the unfamiliar? So, and I had to think about that one, and it came to me what she means by that. This gesture of the unfamiliar is birth, right? A gesture of the unfamiliar. It is that starting of a new thing, is the gesture of the unfamiliar. It's like birth, the birth of a new reality, the birth of you, the birth of your next self, your new soul song. It's a gesture of the unfamiliar, beginning something new. So what is it that brings it into this gesture of the unfamiliar? It is when you care for yourself. So what births it? Caring for yourself. When you love yourselves, it opens the doorway. Yes, it creates a passageway, a format upon which this new life can begin. So there again, a reference to birth, right? This new life can begin, a birth of you, new birth of you. And then I highlighted this next paragraph. It is as if you must pave the way through your own instigation, which is like your own choice, your own decision. You must decide through your choice that you will be treasured, and then the world will become your treasure. Right? So amazing. So, and it makes sense because we reflect outward what we feel inward. If you are treasured, the world becomes your treasure. Allow yourselves, as we are speaking together now, to investigate the depths of you, these parts of you that are not performative for no one else, only for you and you alone. So, and I like that she calls that out, that it's not performative, because there is a performative aspect in our spiritual circles. And you know what I'm talking. Wendy's nodding her head. She knows what I'm talking about. You have seen it where people are doing all the things, and in every religion, they'll be the person who's in there lighting the candles and doing the rosary, and then she's turning around and gossiping and saying mean things about people right outside the church door. You know what I mean? There's a performative aspect of I'm following all the rules and I'm doing all the stuff, but are they really walking the walk? And so she's saying this is not get away. It's this idea is this is for you and you alone. There's nobody that's witnessing this. There's no pressure from the outside. This is really a special moment just for you inside. Take away all that concept of anybody else watching and make this just about you. It's not for anyone else. Have you allowed yourself to be? Have you brought forward the truths that need speaking? Where can you honor yourself more deeply? And then she says, this is not to the exclusion of kindness toward others. This is not to the externalization of kindness outside of yourself. neither will do. So in other words, like that idea of being like, is it spiritual to overgive, right? No, it's not. It's like, so that's but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do anything nice for others. So it doesn't mean that you have to exclude kindness for others. And it doesn't mean that you have to give all your kindness away either, right? It's neither of those things, because what are those? Those are back in polarity. Those are putting us back into this relationship where we are self-sacrificing or overgiving or undergiving or being jealous or being all those things, right? All that kind of stuff. The focus on what is external puts us back in polarity. She says, nope, neither will do. She says, this is honoring yourself while honoring others' right to be. So that's pretty simple. It's a pretty simple rule, is honoring the rights of others to be whatever they are. And at the same time, you are also honoring your right to be whatever you are, right? And she says the two can coexist simultaneously. So it's not about earning or being extra kind or earning points with God. None of that, right? It is about honoring yourself and honoring others' rights to be. So then she says, but you are starting. She repeats herself when she's excited. So you'll know that when there's lots of words, it's because she's got, that's like an energy coming through, and it's like it's like too much energy to fit in one word. So it comes out like staccato. But you are starting with what is inside you. Thus, I draw your awareness and your attention back to where you fold inward, to where you keep hidden, to where you draw down into the depths of you, what is unspoken. Next paragraph, there are ways in which you have disregarded your own words. What you speak, you do not act. What you share too easily, you do not treasure. So these are two examples, right? So how have we disregarded our own words? And words are super powerful, and words are super creative, but I think we can all relate to that idea when if we speak it but do not act it, it doesn't matter, right? It has no resonance, no power. What we share too easily, we don't treasure. So it is if we give something away, if our default is to just give all the time, the giving becomes meaningless, right? Because it's no longer coming from a place of love, it's coming from a place of self-sacrifice and martyrdom. So she's, again, just drawing her attention back to patterns that we have, to ways that we live and out of alignment with ourself. How have you moved yourself, and then she switches, how have you moved yourself closer into alignment with your own joyful feelings? Reach for this. This is cause for investigation. So even if you're stuck in a pattern where you feel like you are in some stage of self-abandonment, there's also going to be areas of life where you feel that you have become more in alignment, where you have joyful feelings, where you feel like you have honored your truth. And she says, so don't focus on the bad, focus on the good. Focus on where you're rocking it. Focus on the things that you are excelling at right now as a spiritual person, where you've done well, where you can see in yourself like that you've made progress, you know? Reach for this. This is cause for investigation. So she's like, that's where you want to focus your thoughts, focus your energy. These are the energies that will birth new things. For it opens passageways inside you, and those passageways must be free. They must be open so that the light that is birthing the new reality can come out. Yeah. So you can think back, and we were talking about that earlier today in our conversation about, and I could look back and find the conversation where someone was sharing something she had healed, and she could look back on it and remember when she felt that way, and she no longer feels that way. Like she now can see her own progress, where she's no longer carrying a particular wound. And something like that, as I would say, is cause for investigation, is to sit with that feeling of recognizing and honoring yourself for that progress, right? She says doing that, like being in that energy of like, because think of how it makes you feel about yourself. It makes you realize, if I heal that, I can heal anything, right? Look, I am me compared to who I was. I'm stronger, right? I'm better than I was. I've learned more. I'm deeper. I'm wiser than I was. Those are the feelings. And it's really about, it's not the doing of it. The doing doesn't matter. It is how you are feeling about yourself. So reflecting on these things is going to generate the feelings. It's like my little exercise I was sharing. Like you could put on the thing, like, what did I heal about myself? You know, and you could put all the things, and at the end, you'd be like, wow, I'm amazing. And that's great. That's what you want to feel. You want to feel that. So, And then she says, where was I? This is these energies that will birth in the new reality. Okay, it opens the passageways, and those passageways must be free. So it opens so that the light, and that the light that she's talking about is the light of us. It's our soul, our new soul song that's trying to birth from the void, that we're trying to lift this out of us by honoring ourselves and loving ourselves. So next paragraph, she says, so I call to you from down here. So she's down inside each of us, right? She's taking up residence inside our energy field. I call to you from down here, deep inside you, where I sit most pleasantly, enjoying my surroundings. And I wait for you to come to me. So she's down, imagine her down there in your root chakra hanging out, and she's just checking everything out. And she's like, it's amazing down here. You should come try the pool, come dive in, you know? And so, so she's hanging out down there saying, come on down. And then enjoying my surroundings, and I wait for you to come to me, and I speak your name most lovingly, and I invite you to look around and to see what I'm seeing. And what I see inside you are the riches, yes, the riches of many lives, of such deep understanding, of such wisdom and truth. And I stir it up like a great pot, and I serve it to you, and I give you a great big spoonful to start you off. I invite you to treasure it with me. So here, this is an activation as you're listening to her channel. You know, as you're listening, if you listen to the original message, this is an activation. So we're hearing the words, we're feeling the words, and we're receiving an energy at the same. It is an activation of hope, helping us. It's like a releasing our resistance, helping us to release resistance from those lower chakras, which is so cool. She says, she's telling that she's giving us something. She's giving us an energy in this moment. What is she giving us? She calls it a great big spoonful, but it is in fact an activation. And then she says, I invite you to treasure it with me. And through this process now, how might you express it? How might you tell me in your own words what you are tasting? How might you share back to me how you are good, how you are light, how you are forming in this new reality? So how do we use the activation? Is experience that activation and then spend time thinking about it, asking yourself these questions. And you can do this experience where you write it to how am I good, right? And then fill in all the words until your body really holds it. Then that's going to build the spark and let it build. So this is how we craft our new soul. What stems, let's see here. What stems from inside you? Open yourself to me, and we shall admire you from the inside out. And this, yes, I invite you to share with me, and I will be with you, and I invite you on this journey of self-understanding, enriching your internal understanding of self. And then she says, yes, because there is so much love, and in so doing, you make way for what is new. You pave a pattern of experiencing self which is built upon the reverence for what you are, allowing yourself to become the light that you are. This is important. This is vitally important to the experiencing of the new reality. So notice here, she didn't say the creation of the new reality. She said to experience it. So the reality has already started, right? It's like if we're weaving a tapestry, it only has a few threads. So it's not like it's a whole picture yet. It's like there's some threads there. And that's good. You know, we're glad it started. But there's stuff for other threads to stick to. So that's really good. But how do we begin? And so the creation process has begun. But how do we begin experiencing it for ourselves, which we want to do? This is how. Right? Open up these channels of self-love, of self-understanding, honoring yourself, beginning to generate positive feelings of yourself from the inside, and trying to hold that as often as you can, right? And that doesn't mean in the denial of your feelings, because like I said, there's going to be times where you feel grief. Feel the grief, feel it hard, feel it, let yourself, because that is part of the experience. And you can love yourself while you're feeling grief. You can love yourself while you're feeling anger, even. You can feel all the feelings and still love yourself through it. So, and then she says, thus join me. I will be here as you are ready. So in other words, she's saying that we can do it again and again. Anytime we want her help in this, she will be there. So she will help us with this activation. So once you go through the activation once, she says you can call on it again and again and again. So energy's like that. You can call on it whenever you want, and you can do it again. So, and you don't even have to be listening. After you listen through her once, you don't have to listen to it every time. You can just think of it as a process. And I have noticed that it's pretty amazing that I have noticed that people, after they have experiences with Isla, many people have told me, I'm now dreaming about her. She's coming to me. I'm starting to work with her. It's like, it's amazing. Once the connection is made, because she's part of all of us, it's like waking up something inside of us, which is so cool. Yeah. So, she says, thus join me. I will be here as you are ready. I will be here. I will be waiting. I will be wanting your company. And I invite you, as I treasure every moment in your presence, to come join me here in the root of you, where all new things begin. And we together shall pave your journey forward. I say bless you. I say thank you and goodbye. So amazing that she says all new things begin in the root, which is so interesting because we talk about manifestation a lot, and we talk about how thoughts create things, and we talk about how we create from the heart. But there is also a element of the human body that is involved in manifestation, and the energy source that then generates that charge that then flows through the heart or flows through the head comes, right? It starts from the root, right? Almost like a Kundalini awakening. Imagine that charge coming through and out of you, right? So she says all things, all manifestation starts from here. So cool. Such a cool message. Uplifting, encouraging, exciting, so exciting. So, all right, you guys, have a fabulous rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me and for sharing this gorgeous message. We'll all be focused on our inner love for our inner selves and creating a beautiful week for ourselves. I'll see you guys next Friday live. Bye, you guys.